that she had been charging thousands and thousands of dollars. Because not only did she use her credit card, she used the treasurer's credit card. She had it and told him it was locked in a desk drawer, and she was actually using that credit card. We found out there must be another credit card that she's created fictitiously that has nothing to do with Deep Creek, because there's another 40,000, roughly 115,000.
On December 20th, 2021, newly elected board members of the Deep Creek Homeowners Association in Charlotte County, Florida, reported a fraud scheme to the sheriff's office. Their community association manager had allegedly used HOA credit cards for personal expenses over a 10-month period, totaling approximately $115,000. The suspect was terminated for insubordination before the fraud was even discovered. It was only during financial reconciliation that the new board uncovered the full scope of the theft. This footage was obtained through public records from the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office.
How are you? Good, yourself? Great. Deputy Argoda. Argoda, yes.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
Good. Melody?
I'm Melody.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Good.
So what's going on?
Well,
Do you want to have a seat?
Yeah,
This is
it
a long
might take-
conversation.
Is it a long conversation?
it might take
Yes.
a little bit.
I'll sit.
Yeah, I'll come over here.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stand separate.
What state is that?
Myself and actually 3 other board members were just elected in the election at the end of October.
Okay.
And we uncovered a lot of irregularities pretty quickly.
In funds?
I'm the treasurer, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's your name, ma'am? Okay, so you were elected at the end of October, found some irregularities in the funds.
Yes, we actually started to uncover some issues before then. We actually had a change in the officers of the board prior to the election. This was in August.
Okay.
And Michael was actually appointed president.
Okay.
And the prior president was removed from that role,
Okay.
as was the vice president. And shortly thereafter, fired the community association manager.
Okay.
And that is the person that we are pretty confident
Did it?
absconded all the funds, yeah.
Okay, so the funds, did everybody have access to those funds?
No.
Or was it just specific people?
Just specific people, the treasurer and the community association manager. Now, Michael, as president, he signs checks.
Okay.
But those are the 2 folks that actually had access to the funds.
Okay.
And Stephen, the treasurer, if I could,
The treasurer before you?
Mhm,
Okay.
yes. If I could say it, I'm not sure what words
No,
do
you don't have to be.
He was a treasurer in name only.
Okay.
He was not a finance person. He should have never been in that role.
Gotcha.
President and Vice President shielded him from everything. Wouldn't let him go into the office over there.
Okay.
Didn't give
Wouldn't
him
let him have
to
access.
financial records. No, let him see the credit card statements.
Okay.
And so he was not aware of what was happening. And so the transition team came in when Michael was elected president. This was in August. They quickly realized that office was in a total disarray. Checks had not been deposited.
Everything was out of order.
It was a mess.
Okay.
And then the election happened at the end of October, and we immediately started reconciling the books. And part of that reconciliation involved the credit card.
Okay.
And there had been no transactions posted related to the credit card, so we started going through it, and that's when we found that she had been charging thousands and thousands of dollars.
Does it show where these charges were made to?
I've got a complete reconciliation.
Is it all that?
You
It's
won't
all
believe.
that.
Okay. That's all gonna go to the, it said you already spoke to
I
the,
already spoke to
so you're the president, correct?
Yes.
And what is your name, sir? So when we noticed these discrepancies in October, before or now, what do we do?
Well, we have been identifying them. We literally just now got them all identified. I reached out to Dr. Sergeant Guyton probably
Economics
2
firm.
weeks ago
Okay.
and let him know it was coming, that we were going to provide as much detail as we could provide, and that's what we've been doing, and now we've got it all
Okay.
documented.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you've got to understand that when we came in here, there were piles of things. Our accounting system had not been reconciled since May 2020. So that was our first thing, was making sure that we got that office operating. And then in trying to go back and put the information into our accounting system, we were told, well, the credit card stuff was all just gross numbers.
Right.
And not the individual transactions.
Okay.
So then when we got a hold of them and started looking at them,
That's why.
yeah, I mean, $2,200 to essentially a property manager thing, that's probably either a rent
Personal
or
rent.
or something like that, and just tons and tons and tons of cash.
So what's the
transactions.
span of all these transactions? What does it range
From
from?
the time she was
March.
put into the position of,
Was it
the transaction started in November
Yeah.
when she opened the credit card.
Which was when was November what, 2020?
2020.
So since November of 2020 until now.
Until
August.
August 20 something.
Okay.
Yeah, until we.
So from
kicked her out of the
November
office.
2020 until August
Towards
2021.
the end of August 2021.
I believe we fired her on.
Do we have the amount of transactions made? What's the total?
I've got
So numerous different transactions made in different locations?
thousands of transactions.
Thousands,
and
okay.
Facebook payments.
Okay, thousands of
Wire
transactions.
transfer. No, the total is 115,000.
115? Okay.
Yeah, it's not small, man.
No, it's not. So thousands of transactions made in different locations. With the credit card, right? Do we have the credit card number and all that information?
Well, she took the credit card with her, and the credit card company, the account is closed, and they will not give us that information. But they said when Charlotte County subpoenas, they'll provide that information.
Gotcha.
I did have the treasurer's, because not only did she use her credit card, she used the treasurer's credit card. He never had access to that credit card.
Stephen. Okay.
Yep. She had it and told him it was locked in a desk drawer, and she was actually using that credit card.
Okay.
And the payments, the way she was paying the credit cards is also part of this too, is she would do electronic transfers out of our various, two of our accounts, one of which had never been touched. And so as soon as the card came close to the limit, she would do an electronic transfer over to it. So.
But what in fact actually happened is, and she was doing multiple payments, and she was using a very rarely used bank account.
Okay.
That's kind of like a reserve account, so it wouldn't be detected as obviously. So she would take money out of the operating account and out of this reserve account and pay off the credit card. Well, that was the last piece of it that I had to reconcile and go through, because there were multiple payments every month. We found out there must be another credit card that she's created fictitiously that has nothing to do with Deep Creek, because there's another 40,000.
An account of some sort.
Well, I think it's a credit card, but
So Dawn, which is the community association manager, her alongside the treasurer were the only ones who had access to this credit card or were able to do transactions. Nobody else was able to do transactions.
nope.
No? Okay.
And her supervision was supposed to be the then president, whose name was John Bones.
Okay. So does he know about this?
No, he's been relieved. He was relieved of his position.
And have we spoken to these individuals? Or can we for sure say 100% that it was them that did these transactions?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, it was Don Marie. It
All Don.
wasn't Steve.
Okay.
Steve didn't even have access to the
Yeah.
card.
Okay. So he didn't have access to the card. So this is all Dawn.
Yep.
Yes, no, he was the useful idiot.
All right.
I love the guy and everything else, but he was being played.
So why am I here today? What happened? From my understanding, there was some discrepancies in the accounts, correct?
Yes, we are a recently elected board, and the prior officers of the board, which was the president and the vice president, were relieved of their duties in August, and a transition team came in because there were a bunch of irregularities, not just financial irregularities, but the office was not being managed properly. And Michael Muller was named the president, and the community association manager, Dawn Marie Frank, was relieved of her duties for insubordination, not the fraud matter that we've uncovered. It was after the transition team came in and started cleaning up. The office was a mess, administratively and financially. No transactions had been recorded to the accounting system. And so the first order was to get the office in order and then start reconciling the accounting transactions. As part of that, we started reconciling the credit card transactions as well, and that's when we uncovered financial irregularities. A ton of unauthorized charges were made, and it has taken us a bit to provide a complete reconciliation so that we knew exactly how much was actually absconded and how much was legitimate transactions in the credit card. So we've identified all of the transactions now and know what all the fraudulent activity is.
Okay. So from what time frame were these transactions done?
November 2020 until August, 19th, 18th, 19th, until she was relieved
of 2021.
Yep.
Okay. And Dawn Marie Frank, she's the only one that had access to this card?
Yes.
Okay, so she would have been the only one to do these transactions?
Yes.
And these transactions were done in various different locations?
Yes. There were multiple what appeared to be personal transactions, groceries, rent payments, and then it appears that she may have created fictitious accounts with Facebook Marketplace and Google Play, and she actually charged $21,000 in Facebook payments.
Okay. So the total of these payments is how much?
Roughly $115,000.
Okay. And have we spoken to Dawn since she's been dismissed from the committee? No? No. So she has no idea that this is going on?
No, she was relieved of her duties. She was fired.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anybody else that you guys know of that may have been working with her, may have been doing this with her, or do you think this is just her by herself?
We have no way of knowing anything for sure, but what we can tell you is that her role as the community association manager was very shielded. All of the activities that she did by the president, the vice president, and another director. And that's also in my notes to Sergeant Guyton, or the Economic Crimes Unit. So we have no proof of that, but we do know that all of this activity, the inability to look at credit card statements, the inability to look
Everything was private.
Everything was private and was authorized by the president and the vice president.
I was on the board at the time, and I asked for access to some of this financial records and was told no by the then current president, John Bones, which is a clear violation of Florida law because the board members are privy to all of that information. Yes.
And he just, when the treasurer, from what I understand, the former treasurer actually asked the same thing. I'm the treasurer, I should see the bank statements, I should see the credit card statements, and the president told him no.
And the vice president, Barry Wasik.
So these transactions that Dawn made, they could only be authorized by the vice president or the president, or was she allowed to do these transactions without any authorization?
Well, she had authority. To set up auto payments and do regular normal operating activity.
Gotcha.
But what, in a perfect world, what would have happened is the accounts would have been reconciled every month, and so you would have seen that.
You would have seen the Okay. So clearly somebody was not doing their job. That's from my understanding. That's why. Okay. All right. So besides everything you've told me, and I can see all that documentation that you have there. It's all separated for the detective already?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
And I've also provided a zip drive with the spreadsheets on it.
Great. You're prepared. Awesome. So is there anything else you wish to add, change, or delete from what you just told me?
No, just that we'll certainly make ourselves available because there are a lot of transactions. There's a lot to go through, so we have tried to make it is easy for the person that's going to pick this up and start
Yeah,
working on
I
it.
get
So we're absolutely available to help.
Yeah, the current board is very eager to do whatever we can to assist.
Under Florida Statute Section 817.034, a scheme to defraud is defined as a systematic, ongoing course of conduct with intent to obtain property by false or fraudulent pretenses. The statute distinguishes between organized fraud and communications fraud. Organized fraud applies when the defendant actually obtains property through the scheme, regardless of whether communications technology was used. Penalties are determined by aggregate value. Under $50,000, a third-degree felony, up to 5 years. $20,000 to $49,999, a second-degree felony, up to 15 years. $50,000 or more elevates the offense to a first-degree felony, punishable by up to 30 years in state prison and up to $10,000 in fines. Critically, Section 3, subsection E of the statute specifies that amounts from separate transactions within a single scheme shall be aggregated when determining the grade of the offense. This means thousands of small charges across groceries, rent, Facebook Marketplace, and Google Play are combined into a single aggregate total for sentencing purposes. The fraudulent use of the treasurer's credit card without his knowledge or consent constitutes a separate offense under Florida Statute, Section 817.6-1, fraudulent use of credit cards. Additionally, Florida Statute Section 720.303, subsection 1, establishes that HOA officers and directors hold a fiduciary relationship to the members they serve. Subsection 4J of the same statute requires associations to maintain accurate, itemized, and detailed records of all receipts and expenditures, kept according to good accounting practices. Subsection 5 mandates that official records, including financial records, must be open to inspection by members within 10 business days of a written request. Willful failure carries a penalty of $50 per day. The former board president's repeated denial of financial record access to sitting board members violated this provision directly, creating the conditions under which the fraud could continue undetected. The method of concealment is particularly relevant to the legal analysis. The suspect made electronic transfers from a rarely used reserve account to pay down credit card balances before they triggered limits. This deliberate use of an obscure account to mask the fraud demonstrates the systematic intent required under the scheme to defraud statute. This was not accidental or impulsive.
Hello, Deputy Goodbrow of the Sheriff's Office. So who's turning themselves in today? Okay. You have your license on you by chance? Perfect, thank you. And what's the open PCA for? We don't know.
It's
Specialty 15, I copy
I'm
your
assuming it would be a fraud charge.
Fraud charge? Okay.
I forgot what they said the sheriff was gonna put on there.
Okay. We'll just wait and make sure that it's actually confirmed and then.
Because I called earlier, and the assistant for the attorney called and talked to Sheriff Fowler, or it started with an F, I can't remember now, here.
Oh,
And
okay.
he filled out or whatever, signed it. It was needing a signature is why it hasn't, it's supposed to have been done back in June.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
we've been waiting, we were told she couldn't turn herself in until it was done, so we've been sitting and waiting.
Okay.
And then got here last night, we drove over 12 hours to get here.
Oh, wow.
And it was supposed to be here, and get here, they couldn't find it.
Special Section 434, I'm showing a valid ID card. I do see the PC that's going to be in Zerker for scheme to defraud obtaining property, 50K or more.
10-4, thank you. All right, so yeah, it is in there now. Because I was going to say when I typed her name into one of our other systems, it didn't pop up, but I didn't go into what she just said, Zerker. So it's in there. You can take this with you in the jail if you want, or she can keep it. It's up to you.
Will I need it later? Because if I put it there.
You shouldn't need it. No, you shouldn't need it at all. I'm just going to take a picture of it in case. Okay, perfect. Then no, they won't need it. So if you want to keep it, or up to you.
Do you want me to hold on to it? You can put it with like my social or whatever.
All right. Gonna hop in. Just be careful of your head. It's not the most comfortable ride, but it's a short ride. All right. You good? Okay.
Let's examine the constitutional framework.
In 2025, a probable cause affidavit was signed by the sheriff. The charge filed in circuit court was scheme to defraud, obtaining property $50,000 or more, a first-degree felony. The suspect voluntarily surrendered to the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. The arrest was processed without incident, Final case disposition remains unknown at the time of this analysis. Dawn Marie Frank receives an F. The evidence describes a deliberate and sustained fraud scheme meeting every element of organized fraud under Florida law. Systematic conduct, intent to defraud. Property obtained through false pretenses. She exploited a position of trust, used 2 credit cards fraudulently, created fictitious payment accounts, and concealed the activity through reserve account transfers. Cooperation with the surrender does not offset 10 months of calculated theft. Deputy Argota receives a B+. The initial intake interview was professional and thorough, establishing suspect identity, timeline, method, access chain, and total loss. Additional probing into the fictitious accounts would have elevated this further. Deputy Gibbs receives an A-. The voluntary surrender was processed efficiently and professionally, with appropriate courtesy and clear communication throughout. The former Deep Creek board leadership receives a D. Their denial of financial record access violated Florida Statute Section 720-303, and their failure of fiduciary oversight enabled the fraud to persist unchecked. The current Deep Creek board receives an A. Their thorough financial reconciliation, organized documentation, and proactive cooperation with law enforcement represent a model response to the discovery of financial misconduct. This case offers several important lessons. First, for homeowners associations, monthly reconciliation of all financial accounts is not optional. It is the single most effective safeguard against embezzlement. Second, no single individual should have unchecked access to financial instruments. Dual authorization requirements for transactions and regular independent audits create accountability that deters fraud. Third, any denial of board member access to financial records is a serious red flag. Under Florida law, such obstruction is not only a statutory violation, it is often the mechanism that allows fraud to continue. Fourth, for anyone in a fiduciary role, the aggregation provision of the scheme to defraud statute means that even small unauthorized charges can compound into a first-degree felony over time. And finally, when fraud is discovered, the response of the Deep Creek Board should be the standard. Document everything. Organize the evidence. Report to law enforcement. Cooperate fully. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content on police court interactions.